Hey everyone, today we're going to be going over how to register an event in the Missouri COVID-19 Vaccine Navigator. So again, you can see here we are at the first page of our vaccine community event registration survey, and we have three events, or three actions you can take about an event for a vaccine drive. So again, what I'm going to do right here is try and take you through each of these. But first, just a passing comment is while most other things in the Vaccine Navigator are automated, this process is still manual. So when you schedule a new event through this survey, what's going to happen is that someone on the Missouri or the EY team will go ahead and take a look at what you've scheduled, and they'll be able to reach out immediately back to you with any comments they have before they go ahead and schedule. Again, we'll get to what some of these comments might be later, but if there's anything that seems incorrect or inaccurate about your submission, someone will reach out and tell you that ask you whatever clarifying question they need concerning your event. And if not, if everything looks to be in order, then they will go ahead and schedule your event and send you a confirmation email. Please don't confuse this with any confirmation email you'll receive just immediately after that you've successfully submitted the survey. Again, three actions we can take here. We can schedule a new event, we can modify an existing event, or we can cancel an existing event. Again, just want to stress again that these will not be immediate. They will not be automated. They require one of our team members to review. Again, when you say you're scheduling a new event, we strongly recommend at least 4 days, scheduling it at least 4 days in advance of the start date. This is simply just to give people enough time to see the event and register, and also to account for a little bit of lag time between your team and our team. So going forward with the new events, I'm going to first put in some fake information. We're just taking the actual information of the person who is submitting this event in case we need to reach out and contact them. So, whatever way we think is best to get a hold of you, if we can't through email, we might try, reaching out and calling. This is just simply taking contact information from the person submitting so we can reach out with questions. Now, once you go past that page, what we'll do here is we have our Show Me Vax provider number, and we're going to need to enter that here. That should be provided for you when you receive approval to make your event. And let's say the event we're making right now is a high school vaccine drive. Usually you'd, for non-demonstration purposes, maybe include the name of the high school, but you can make the event name whatever you would like. So from here, we can go whether a public or private event. The use case for private events is simply if we're vaccinating particular frontline essential workers, and we're going to have a private event for just, say, the workers at Home Depot or Chipotle or McDonald's or whatever business it could be. So again, we say a public event here. For now, most events we're going to have are going to be public events open to the general public. Moving on, we have our vaccine type. So we can either have Pfizer or Moderna, and as other vaccines do get approved and used, we could have in the future another button for AstraZeneca or Johnson & Johnson, whatever it may be. And if there was some sort of other consideration with your vaccine, you could put it in here. However, let's just go with Moderna for now. And let's say that our vaccine drive has 200 doses to administer. One thing about the doses is that it's not critical to, we'll get to the number of doses question in just a second. Now we're going to go ahead and select our dates for the drive. So let's say Friday, the 26th will be our date. And let's say we're going to go all of that weekend to the 28th. So for a total of 3 days. And let's say that, we have more of an afternoon drive. We start at noon and we go to 5 p.m. or not 5 a.m., excuse me, 5 p.m. And let's say that for whatever reason, if we needed to say that there was, a lunch break from, 1 to 2 p.m., we could say that. For, this intents and purposes, we're going to say there are no special considerations with timing. Or we could even say, on Sunday, we're going to close at 3, not 5. But what we know here so far is that we had, 15 hours that we're giving the vaccine. We know we're giving it from, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday for 5 hours each. And this is going to get important once we get into our appointments per hour. However, there are two main considerations for when our team is making calendars that we want to know. We first want to know how long will we set the appointments for. We do recommend 30 minutes, as the person will have to sit there for 15 minutes anyways. So just to kind of prevent some backlogs, 30 minutes. 60 minutes is also popular, also works. But trying to schedule in smaller intervals than that can lead to some problems. So this is one of the more important questions for your team to note, is that how many appointments should be available per hour. Now, this should line up with the amount of doses you have available. So again, like I just said, we were doing a 3-day vaccine drive. That was going to be 5 hours of appointments per day. So again, that's 15 hours total. And we talked about, we had 200 doses. Now, if we say, 10 appointments per hour, we're only getting to 150 doses. So we need to put in, a number that would get us, to have all of our doses administered. It's one of the common problems we're seeing is just people, not accounting for this and leaving some vaccines on the board. So what we could say here is that we'll have, 14 appointments per hour. Or we need to go back and add more hours if, say, 10 was the most we can vaccinate. It is just important that we think, about this so that we don't have to reach out and say, do we need to create more appointments so that you will use all of your vaccines. So anyways, with all of that set, we can continue and move on. Furthermore, we get a facility ID, which would again be provided to the actual event when they get approved. We put in some base information. We can just pick any sort of address that would work here. This again is a fake one. We have an autofill feature to help us with our county. Again, we're just putting in random information here. We can talk about our location type. So again, let's say here that for high school, we're most likely going to be a community provider. Excuse me. And then this question here about whether or not we are, ADA accessible, accessible for disabilities. So let's say yes, we are. And finally, we get here to see our event confirmation. Again, this notice that we really want these to be scheduled 4 days before the event start date. We see all of our information here. Now, one thing to be said is that if some of this information is incorrect or we don't like it, we can just not submit this survey. To submit this survey, we need to make sure we're pressing this forward button until we see a confirmation here. However, for once we see this confirmation, we will get a notice that does say, we have submitted, and you will get that notice in your email. However, let's say that, I realized immediately that I've made a mistake, that I needed to do 400 doses, not 200, or, I put in a mistake with the location. I needed a few other things. Let's go back, restart the survey, and modify an existing event. Now, it would be useful to have your event's information handy. Again, we do want to, modifications really only 48 hours before. Even better if you can do them before that 2-day span and modify as little as possible. However, things do happen. Again, I'm not going to enter in information again, but you would enter in the contact information so we can contact you. We then take the event ID of the event you try to modify. And then, we take the event that you have entered in. Let's say you put in the wrong name for your event and you would want it to be Greenville High School instead of, let's say you just wrote high school earlier. Best practices is to then again fill out all of your information here. It's not required. If you simply are very confident that you wanted to say it's 60 minutes when originally you had 30, you can do that. It might increase the likelihood that we'll have to reach out to you. Best practice is to go ahead and fill out all of these columns, and then we'll refer back to your initial appointment request, and then we'll make the updates or reach out to you with any questions that we have. With that being stated, we can move on. Excuse me. Let me go ahead and fill these in offline. So having filled in these, I'm now able to go forward. And again, we have submitted our response. One final thing, if we're going to cancel it, we don't need nearly as much information. I'm going to ignore this for my purposes, but this will not be an option for you going forward. We enter our events ID, whatever it will be, and then we get this note that we would like to cancel our community event with this ID. We click, and our event is canceled, or at least it will be as soon as our team can refer and potentially contact you about this. Again, one last note about this survey is that this is unlike the entire rest of the COVID-19 vaccine navigator. This is a manual process. It is that way intentionally. So just understand that this is not automatic. And again, this is your primary way to communicate with our team on this. If there are any questions outside of this, feel free to reach out as always. So thank you very much for watching.